Some homes seem peaceful on the surface, well lit, well kept, even beautifully furnished, but the people inside can't seem to catch a break. Promotions stall, savings vanish, relationships strain, and often no one can explain why. But in Feng Shui, the answer is hiding in plain sight. It's not the furniture, the luck, or the timing. It's where the energy stops, drains, or scrambles. And one of the most common culprits? The very plants we think are helping us. Because in this ancient system of energetic design, a plan is never neutral. It's either anchoring your intentions or scattering them. It's either nourishing your space or quietly sabotaging it. Especially when placed in the wrong spot, a seemingly harmless pot of greenery can tip the balance from abundance to depletion. Now, this isn't superstition, it's structure. Feng Shui is not about believing in luck. It's about working with energy that's already there. Every object in your home is sending signals. The refrigerator hums with stored nourishment. The hallway channels movement. The bedroom whispers stillness. And the plant responds, amplifies, or resists. Depending on where you place it, that lovely touch of nature can either ground your finances or erode them. So if you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, working hard, showing up, pushing forward, but your results just won't stick, it may be time to ask a more unexpected question. What role is your environment playing in your outcomes? Because sometimes the blockage isn't in you, it's in the soil, or more specifically, where that soil sits. In today's video, I'm sharing the 6 worst places people unknowingly put their plants. Spots that quietly unravel financial stability, disrupt focus, or throw harmony out of sync. These are not random locations. They are predictable danger zones in the home where plant energy works against you, no matter how beautiful or well-intentioned. And yes, I'll also share where to place plants instead, because when used correctly, greenery becomes one of the most reliable tools in Feng Shui to shift wealth, focus, and peace of mind. You'll see how the right placement transforms your space from passive container to active collaborator. Before we go any further, I want to thank you for being part of this New Day Mindfulness community. Every like, every comment, every share supports the growth of this channel and the content I bring to you. If you find this topic valuable, or if it stirs something in you, please consider tapping like, subscribing, and sharing with someone you care about. I'm on a mission to bring grounded, practical Feng Shui to more people, and reaching 2,000 followers will help unlock even more resources and content for you and this growing community. So let's begin. Not with the usual assumptions, not with trendy plant hacks, but with clarity, because it's time to stop decorating and start aligning. The first mistake, the most energetically costly, is one nearly everyone has made without realizing it. It's where we often store our daily essentials, prepare our food, and stack our convenience, and where plants absolutely do not belong. Let's get into it. Number 1, the refrigerator trap. In Feng Shui, every object carries more than function. It carries frequency. The refrigerator, while seemingly modern and mundane, holds a specific place in the energetic structure of a home. It is a dominant metal element object, encased in cold, reflective materials, humming with low-frequency and electromagnetic waves, and designed to store and preserve yang energy in the form of food. It is inherently static. Its job is to maintain stillness, preserve condition, and prevent change. Contrast this with the nature of a plant, which belongs to the wood element and requires yang energy to flourish: warmth, light, motion, and growth. When these two symbols, metal yin and wood yang, are forced into close interaction, especially in vertical alignment, an energetic contradiction emerges. You are asking one object to activate while sitting atop another that is designed to still. And in Feng Shui, that contradiction doesn't stay symbolic. It becomes real. You begin to feel it. Placing a plant on top of the refrigerator may seem like a convenient, even stylish choice. It utilizes unused space. It elevates greenery closer to eye level. It rounds out the kitchen's sharp corners. But beneath this aesthetic logic lies an energetic misfire. Symbolically, the wood element of the plant is trying to grow, reaching upward, expressing, pushing. Meanwhile, the metal base below it resists, cools, suppresses, and stills. This is not a passive opposition. It's a direct elemental clash. According to the 5-element cycle in classical Feng Shui, metal cuts wood. In nature, a metal blade can chop a tree. In energy terms, the suppressive, condensed frequency of metal undermines the expansive, upward flow of wood. Now imagine this relationship inside your kitchen, repeating itself every day without your awareness. The refrigerator's cold hum constantly interrupts the plant's vitality. Over time, the plant begins to weaken. Its leaves may yellow, its soil may sour, its posture may droop. And this physical decline mirrors what begins to happen in the home's energy. Upward mobility slows, motivation softens, and financial momentum cools. Let's deepen this with metaphor. Imagine trying to grow a tree in a freezer. No matter how fertile the soil, how vibrant the seed, how often you water it, the environment itself will resist growth. The message it sends is one of preservation, not progression. That is exactly what happens when you place a living, yang-based object atop a cold, yin-dominant appliance. Your good intentions are frozen in translation. You may feel like you're putting in effort, working long hours, planning your budget, making the right decisions, but the results don't take root. Something always gets in the way. The project stalls, the contract pauses, the income arrives, then disappears. Feng Shui does not diagnose these situations emotionally. It diagnoses them environmentally. Your home may be repeating a message: grow but not here. Try but don't succeed. Start but don't sustain. This is not superstition. It's resonance. You cannot override the symbolic language your space is speaking. And when your environment sends mixed signals, growth above, suppression below, your life begins to mirror the same pattern. This is especially true in the kitchen, which is one of the 3 power zones in Feng Shui, alongside the bedroom and front entrance. The kitchen is where nourishment is stored, prepared, and energetically transferred. It governs your relationship to sustenance, not just food, but money, time, and energy. When a plant is placed in a location that disturbs this balance, the kitchen stops being a source of support. It becomes a site of struggle. Financially, this may look like income that arrives but is immediately spent. Emotionally, it may feel like you're surviving, not thriving. You're doing everything you can, but the space around you doesn't hold your effort. It keeps cooling it down. It's also important to note that the top of the fridge is not a neutral platform. Energetically, it sits at the vertical midpoint between the foundation, floor, and ceiling, heaven energy. In Feng Shui, vertical alignment matters. The space above waist level represents the future, vision, and direction. Anything placed there needs to be symbolically aspirational. A sluggish or declining plant at this height sends an invisible signal of unfulfilled promise. Worse still, the refrigerator vibrates with electromagnetic frequency, a form of invisible static that disturbs the chi field of both objects and people. That same chi interference eventually translates into emotional static, lack of clarity, decision fatigue, and mental dullness. So what's the solution? Remove the plant, not to give up, but to reroute. Let the top of the fridge return to what it was energetically designed for: quiet, cold, stable energy. If you want to place something there, opt for objects associated with the earth element. symbolic containers of stability and storage. A ceramic bowl of rice, a neatly arranged jar of dry grains, or even a small wood box filled with saved coins or handwritten intentions. These items don't contradict the fridge's metal yin essence. They stabilize it. They say this is a place of retention, not regeneration. That message aligns with what the refrigerator is already doing, so the qi flows clearly. If you insist on greenery in the kitchen, place it by the window. Let the plant draw from natural light, pull qi upward, and act as a bridge between indoor and outdoor energy. This strengthens its wood essence while preserving its purpose. You can also place it near the sink, but not too close to the stove, where water-wood interaction is more harmonious. The point is not to remove life from the kitchen, it's to support life in the right locations. Energy, like water, needs the right container. A plant placed correctly becomes a tool of amplification. Placed carelessly, it becomes an energetic leak. Now let's go further into symbolism. A refrigerator in Feng Shui is not just a food appliance. It is a symbol of held nourishment. Its qi pattern speaks of savings, resources, containment. Think of it as a bank vault of daily energy. When you place a plant on top of it, you're disrupting the vault's ability to seal. It's like trying to balance an investment portfolio on a blender. It looks decorative, but the frequencies don't match. Over time, this can subtly affect your relationship with financial discipline. You may become more reactive in spending, less clear in planning, and more scattered in resource management. We also have to address habit. Many people place a plant on top of the fridge simply because it's a forgotten spot. It's out of the way. It doesn't interrupt the kitchen's function. But in Feng Shui, every forgotten spot is a source of unconscious influence. The top of the fridge may seem invisible, but it still speaks. And what it says when misaligned is that growth belongs in places where energy does not circulate. That belief slowly embeds itself into your habits. You start working harder in invisible areas of your life, hoping something will click. You start expecting reward from effort placed into non-fertile ground. And when it doesn't happen, you blame yourself. But maybe the space is just repeating an old instruction. In high-performing households, those with financial clarity, harmonious routines, and sustained motivation, these subtle contradictions are rare. They treat the space with the same seriousness as a professional team treats its playbook. Every area has a purpose. Every object has a reason. That's not superstition. That's design. And when a home is designed with energetic purpose, the people inside begin to act with more coherence. They don't waste time on efforts that don't convert. They place their energy where it grows, not where it freezes. So if you've felt like you've been putting effort into your life but nothing warms up, if the things you initiate stay stuck at almost, if your plans constantly get paused, if money arrives but doesn't anchor, it may be time to look not at yourself, but at that harmless-looking pot of green on your fridge. Remove it. Thank it. Then place it somewhere it can thrive, not survive. Let the fridge stay still. Let the plant move. Let your energy flow in agreement with your environment, not in argument with it. Because in Feng Shui, the smallest shift can create the greatest result. You don't need to redesign your home. You just need to remove the mixed messages. And sometimes the clearest message begins with one plant, one placement, and one decision to say no more energetic confusion, only forward, only aligned, only growth. Number 2, electronics and energy static. In the modern home, our relationship with electronics is constant and often unconscious. Televisions dominate living room walls, laptops migrate from bedroom to dining table, routers tuck themselves behind shelves, and Bluetooth speakers pulse with invisible signals, that pass through our space whether we engage with them or not. From a technological standpoint, this is convenience. From a Feng Shui perspective, it is a layered energetic complication. That complication becomes even more pronounced when we introduce something living, like a plant, into that invisible field of interference. On the surface, the combination of green growth and modern machinery might seem balanced. Nature meets progress. But in the language of energy, especially within a Feng Shui-informed environment, what's actually happening is energetic conflict. Electronics emit what's known as electromagnetic frequency, or EMF. It's the energetic residue of devices designed to send and receive data. Though this radiation is low level, its effects accumulate on the body, on the field of the home, and on the subtle energy structure known in Feng Shui as Qi. Qi, unlike EMF, doesn't need batteries or data cables. It flows along spatial lines, moves with intention, interacts with emotional fields, and is influenced by objects, light, sound, and yes, electromagnetism. When Qi encounters EMF-heavy zones, its pattern weakens. It becomes fragmented, scattered, or agitated. This matters in any context, but it becomes especially impactful when we bring a plant into that zone. Because a plant is not a passive decoration, it is a living interpreter of Qi quality. It absorbs, reflects, and mirrors the strength or disorder of the energy around it. And when the frequency is consistently disjointed, the plant doesn't just grow slower, it grows confused. That confusion often looks like slow decline. Leaves turning dull, soil retaining water but not distributing it properly. Growth patterns becoming asymmetrical. You may water it, repot it, even move it to a window for light. But the issue isn't above or below the soil, it's around it. And when that energetic field is dominated by electronics, routers emitting 2.4 GHz waves, televisions exuding static pulse, laptops receiving and pushing digital signals, your plant is not thriving in nature. It's surviving in a technological storm. Over time, even the most resilient species begin to fade. And you, the caretaker, may wonder why you're failing, when in reality, the space itself is unsupportive. But Feng Shui doesn't stop at plants. What happens to your greenery in these zones is only part of the story. The larger issue is what happens to you. You sit next to your router to work faster. You place your vision board beside your desk for inspiration. You set a potted plant nearby for life force energy. But what you don't see is how the scattered Qi, the electromagnetic static, begins to echo inside your own mental rhythm. You become less focused, less grounded, more reactive. Tasks that once felt clear become jumbled. Your decisions, especially financial ones, lose clarity. You may catch yourself making errors in budgeting, reacting emotionally to spending, or simply delaying the very actions that could move you forward. This is not because you lack intelligence or discipline. It's because your environment is whispering interruption instead of alignment. In Feng Shui, the placement of electronics matters not just for their function, but for their influence. We don't ban them, we negotiate with them. We ask, where does this frequency belong? Where does it support action? Where does it compromise rest? When a space becomes saturated with electromagnetic Qi, it requires counterbalance. Plants, when placed intentionally and with spatial distance, can help absorb low-level radiation and recalibrate the room's coherence. But that only works when they are not suffocated by proximity. Placing a plant directly beside your modem may look visually appealing, but the plant is now functioning more as a shield than a receiver, and over time, it pays the price. Likewise, a ficus tree near a soundbar may reflect beauty but receive discord. So what do you do when the layout of your home seems to demand close quarters between plants and devices? First, reposition. A simple shift of 12 to 24 inches can dramatically change the energetic experience. Move the plant slightly off-center from your TV console. Place your router behind a low wooden divider. Avoid cornering your workspace between two devices. These micro adjustments restore energetic flow without requiring a full redesign. Second, introduce neutralizers. Crystals like black tourmaline, shungite, or even salt bowls serve as grounding anchors. They absorb energetic excess without disturbing qi circulation. They're not mystical charms, they're functional modifiers. Placing a salt crystal behind a speaker or near the base of a monitor helps break up static accumulation and preserves clarity. But perhaps most importantly, reframe the role of greenery in tech-heavy zones. In highly active digital areas like your office, don't use plants for decoration. Use them for direction. Choose upright, structured species like snake plants or lucky bamboo. Their growth pattern mirrors vertical chai flow and encourages focus. Avoid sprawling, drooping species like ivy or ferns, which symbolize confusion and spread. Think of your plant as a qi companion to your thinking. You want it to reflect clarity, not diffusion. There's also a temporal consideration. In Feng Shui, energy accumulates over time. The longer a plant remains in a disruptive frequency zone, the deeper the imbalance it records. That's why periodic movement matters. Rotate plants between high and low exposure areas. Allow them time to reset just as you would rest after overexertion. Plants are not machines, they're organic sensors. Give them seasons of recovery. And now let's look at the deeper symbolism. A plant placed next to electronics speaks a message, one often unnoticed, but always encoded. It says that your life force is being asked to perform in an unnatural field. It says that your natural rhythm is being aligned to a digital pace. And that may be necessary for work, yes, but is it necessary for your energy field? Your growth? Your wealth? This is where Feng Shui offers an alternative. It doesn't say stop using devices. It says create contrast. Let your plants, stones, and wooden surfaces offer you visual and energetic punctuation in a sentence otherwise written in screens and static. Let them remind you that growth does not require speed. It requires rhythm. For those who work in finance, media, or digital spaces, this principle is especially important. Your mind is already calibrated to performance metrics, notifications, and deadlines. Don't ask your home to do the same. Instead, create microzones of natural chai, a bamboo shoot beside a ceramic mug, a jade plant near your calculator, a smooth stone beside your phone charger. These become not just design moments, they become energetic correctives. They say, yes, we engage with modern tools, but we balance them with ancient wisdom. And if you're wondering how this affects money specifically, the answer is through decision coherence. The more scattered your chai, the less accurate your judgment. That's why the combination of EMF static and plant decay in financial planning zones is so damaging. Your space begins to echo distraction. Your brain begins to reflect it. But when you place a grounding element between your screen and your body, a plant, a crystal, a wooden object, your chai field has a chance to breathe, to clarify, to recalibrate toward action that is intentional, not reactive. In high-performance homes where residents manage teams, investments, creative projects, and the smartest spaces aren't always the most high-tech. They're the most calibrated, the ones where devices have partners, not just users, where every screen has a counterbalance, where every signal has a silence. That silence is what the plant represents when it's placed correctly, not a pause in world, but a return to coherence. So before you ask why your desk feels heavy, why your ideas won't flow, or why you feel exhausted after a day of digital productivity, look at the space. Ask what frequencies are clashing. Ask what elements are being ignored, and ask whether your plant is thriving or simply surviving under the weight of technology. Because in Feng Shui, the answer is rarely to remove, it's to realign. Let the electronics run, let the work continue. But place your greenery in a position that says, I support focus, I do not absorb chaos. I reflect clarity, I hold presence, and I do not get lost in the signal. That is the real function of plant placement in modern spaces. Not beautification, but recalibration. Not escape, but design. And that design begins not with more tech, but with one plant, one repositioning, and one decision to let your home work with you, not just for you. That's not a theory, that's energy, transformed by awareness, sustained by structure, and elevated by choice. Number 3, the kitchen fire clash. In the practice of classical Feng Shui, few rooms in the home carry as much symbolic weight as the kitchen. It is not just the heart of nourishment, it is the engine of sustenance, transformation, and circulation. And unlike the bedroom, which serves to regenerate energy, or the living room, which distributes it, the kitchen is the zone where energy is actively converted from raw to refined. In elemental terms, the kitchen is governed primarily by fire. The stove, the oven, the microwave, even the radiant heat from appliances, all these signal the presence of intense directed qi that is designed to burn, transmute, and activate. When this fire element is balanced, it enhances prosperity, clarity, and vitality. But when it's overfed, scattered, or neglected, the result is disruption, not only in health, but in financial flow. The introduction of wood element plants into the kitchen often comes from a place of aesthetic instinct. A small potted fern near the sink, a tall monstera in the corner, a bouquet of flowers on the countertop. These choices may appear harmless, even beautiful, but energetically they introduce a subtle imbalance that few people notice until the consequences become visible. In the 5-element cycle, wood feeds fire. That is a natural relationship, and in moderation, it is supportive. But the key word here is moderation. When the kitchen is already saturated with fire, from constant cooking, heat, movement, and technology, adding a large wood element can overwhelm the space's energetic coherence. It is the difference between lighting a candle in a quiet room and tossing dry leaves onto a campfire. One warms, the other destabilizes. And destabilized kitchen qi doesn't just affect the quality of meals or moods while cooking, it affects the household's financial rhythm. The kitchen is a symbolic money generator in Feng Shui. The stove, in particular, represents the household's earning capacity. Every time you light a burner, you are energetically activating your prosperity circuit. That's why Feng Shui practitioners often recommend using all burners in rotation, keeping the stove clean, and ensuring it is in working order. A dirty or broken stove is a direct reflection of neglected income potential. Now, when you place a vigorous wood element plant near this fire hub, you are not enhancing the flame, you are exhausting it. Fire fed too fast becomes unstable. It may rise sharply, but it cannot hold. That is why some people experience financial surges, bonuses, kutraks, sudden inflows, only to see that money evaporate just as quickly. The plant didn't cause the spending, but it did echo a pattern: earn, burn, repeat. Without containment, there is no prosperity, only circulation without retention. Let's deepen this understanding with symbolic mapping. In Feng Shui, wood energy is vertical, expansive, and growth-oriented. It seeks the swingy, it thrives on water and light. Fire, by contrast, is radiant, directional, and transforming. It burns upward, yes, but it also consumes. It needs fuel, but too much, and it loses control. So when a plant, especially one with large leaves, upward stems, or active growth, is placed near a stove, the room's elemental language shifts from controlled creation to chaotic escalation. You might notice restlessness in the kitchen, increased clumsiness, frustrated conversations, food that spoils faster. All of these are subtle signs that the fire is not being honored, it's being overwhelmed. From a practical standpoint, this also affects the plant. Most kitchens offer limited sunlight, inconsistent humidity, and extreme temperature shifts. These are not ideal conditions for most houseplants. A basil or mint sprig on a sunny windowsill is different. These are herbs that thrive in heat, are harvested frequently, and resonate with the act of consumption. They are yang-aligned but purpose-specific. A decorative pothos beside a toaster? That's just visual clutter, one that can absorb and scatter energy without meaning. And clutter, in Feng Shui, is never neutral. It traps qi, creates stagnation, and introduces confusion. It's worth noting that in many ancient Asian homes, plants were rarely found in the kitchen for this very reason. The energy of the kitchen was meant to be focused, intentional, and contained. The cook's role was revered not just as a provider of food, but as a steward of chai. Anything that interfered with the fire's rhythm, whether emotional, spatial, or elemental, was seen as a threat to the household's overall fortune. In modern homes, where the kitchen often merges with the living space, the boundaries are more fluid, but the energetic consequences remain. Let's consider the psychological layer. When you stand at your stove with a tall, vibrant plant behind or beside you, your subconscious absorbs that presence. It may not register as distraction, but it does register as movement. Wood energy is always seeking expression. It is active, exploratory, even demanding. That energy, placed inches from a burner meant to heat with precision, sends mixed signals to your nervous system. You may find yourself rushing through meal prep, feeling scattered, forgetting ingredients. These are not just personal habits. They are reactions to space design. And when repeated, they become part of the home's energy story. A kitchen that feels hectic, ungrounded, or rushes reflects and reinforces a life that feels the same. Now let's bring this back to finances. If your kitchen is your earning chamber, then how you treat it becomes how money treats you. Introducing too much wood into the fire zone mimics financial imbalance. You might generate income, but you can't hold on to it. Expenses flare up unexpectedly. You feel like you're always catching up, never ahead. The fire is burning, but it's not heating anything. It's just consuming. So what's the correction? First, observe. Walk into your kitchen and look at every plant, real or artificial. Ask yourself, is this helping the fire focus, or is it feeding chaos? Remove large or sprawling plants from the cooking triangle, especially those placed near the stove, oven, or microwave. Replace them with earth or metal elements, ceramic bowls, brass utensils, stone coasters. These elements nourish fire without overwhelming it. They stabilize the base. They say, this is heat with direction, not explosion. Second, if you love greenery in the kitchen, choose herbs. Culinary plants like basil, mint, rosemary, or chives are aligned with the kitchen's function. They are meant to be cut, used, integrated. Their energy is not ornamental, it is participatory. Place them near the window, not the stove. Let them receive sun and air. Let them remind you that not all growth is visual. Some growth supports from within. Third, clean the plant energy. Even after removal, stagnant qi can linger. Wipe the area, light incense or open a window, reset the zone, reintroduce intention. This is your wealth chamber, not a jungle, not a gallery. Treat it as such. And finally, reflect. Ask yourself, has your financial life felt fiery but unstable? Have gains arrived only to vanish? Has stress around money grown even as income has improved? These are signs that fire is not being held. It is being fed too much, too fast, without containment. And your plant, however beautiful, may be echoing that imbalance. Feng Shui teaches that every object is either amplifying your goals or diffusing them. There is no neutral position. And once you understand that, your home becomes a tool, not just a backdrop for everything you're building. The kitchen is not the place to hope things go well. It's the place to make sure they do. It is where nourishment becomes strength, where energy becomes fuel, where effort becomes outcome. And when that space is honored, not only with ingredients, but with elemental balance, the results show up not just in your meals, but in your money, in your mood, in your movement forward. So the next time you find yourself standing in your kitchen, wondering why things feel rushed, why money slips through your fingers, or why clarity doesn't come, don't look at your schedule. Look at your stove, then look at what's beside it. And remember, even one plant in the wrong place can stir a fire that burns the wrong bridge. But with awareness and placement, it can also light the exact path forward. One decision, one adjustment, one space that finally says, I am ready to earn and ready to hold. That's real Feng Shui. And it starts not with what you grow, but where you let it grow. Number 4, bedroom plant myths. The bedroom is the most intimate, energetic space in a home. It is where your physical body enters its deepest state of restoration, where your subconscious processes the residue of your day, and where your emotional boundaries soften into dream and memory. In Feng Shui, this room is ruled by yin energy, still, dark, slow-moving, and inward-facing. Yin doesn't push, it receives. It doesn't activate, it integrates. That's why everything placed in the bedroom, colors, textures, lighting, and especially living objects, must reflect and support that yin nature. When a space designed for healing is interrupted by active elements, the result isn't dramatic, but it is deeply cumulative. And one of the most misunderstood interruptions comes in the form of houseplants. To understand why, we need to look past the aesthetics and focus on function. A plant is not passive. It may look calm, but it is a living system. It breathes, responds, emits moisture, and carries the wood element, an inherently yang energy in the 5-element system. Wood Qi is upright, reaching, and life-seeking. It wants to grow, expand, and unfold. That energy is appropriate in zones of movement, living rooms, offices, entryways, but in the bedroom, it creates an energetic misalignment. When you introduce a plant into a yin-dominated space, you are inviting a subtle conversation between rest and responsiveness. One says slow down, the other says stay alert. The result isn't tension you can immediately name. It's the kind that shows up as delayed sleep, subconscious agitation, vague fatigue, and emotional restlessness. This is why, from a Feng Shui standpoint, placing plants, especially large active ones, near your bed is considered a form of energetic contradiction. Your body wants stillness. The plant emits presence. That presence, even if subtle, disrupts the room's field of surrender. Your nervous system remains slightly activated, constantly adjusting to the invisible awareness of life nearby. This is particularly true at night, when the plant's photosynthetic cycle reverses. During the day, plants absorb carbon dioxide and emit oxygen, a process that benefits the surrounding qi. But at night, they shift. They take in oxygen and release carbon dioxide, mimicking the respiration of a human sleeper. While this isn't dangerous in small doses, energetically it blurs the boundary between human rest and environmental demand. Instead of the room being a sanctuary for your own restoration, It becomes a shared field of subtle biological negotiation. And when the unconscious mind picks up on that negotiation, deep sleep may be interrupted, not always in dramatic awakenings, but in shallow cycles that leave you waking up tired despite hours in bed. Now layer in another aspect: relationship dynamics. The bedroom in Feng Shui is not just for personal healing. It is the container of intimacy, partnership, and emotional balance. The energy here should encourage soft communication, emotional grounding, and mutual restoration. Introducing plant chi, especially overgrown, drooping, or sharp-leafed species, complicates that balance. It pulls energy upward and outward, creating subtle tensions in conversations, unspoken irritations, or recurring emotional distance. This doesn't mean a plant causes a relationship problem, but it can reflect or reinforce the inability to soften, to slow down, or to release guardedness. A snake plant beside the bed may look sleek, but its sword-like leaves communicate vigilance. A pothos vine sprawling across the window frame may soften the view, but its trailing tendrils echo emotional dispersal. Even a peace lily, elegant as it is, when overgrown or poorly maintained, speaks of emotional energy that's not being tended with clarity. That said, there are exceptions, but they must be precise. In climates or homes where air circulation is poor or humidity control is essential, a single well-trimmed plant may be introduced as a functional support. The most common choice in this case is the peace lily. It is relatively slow-growing, does not emit intense fragrance, and has strong air-purifying qualities. But even then, placement matters. It should be kept far from the headboard, not in direct line with where you sleep. Ideally, it should sit in a corner diagonal to the bed, on a low surface, in a ceramic pot. This keeps its chai grounded and prevents its upward movement from interacting with your sleep aura. The pot color should be neutral, earth tones, matte textures, not bright or reflective. And care is crucial. A neglected plant emits decay. A dying plant in the bedroom is more than just bad form. It's a symbol of unprocessed fatigue. Its drooping leaves speak what your body cannot, and its presence begins to echo exhaustion instead of vitality. Let's also consider the cumulative effect. Feng Shui is not just about one object. It's about the conversation between objects. If your bedroom already contains multiple sources of microactivation, charging phones near your pillow, mirrored closet doors, busy artwork, cluttered nightstands, adding plant chai may not be the tipping point, but it becomes the reinforcement. And over time, the accumulation of these misaligned elements results in a room that fails its primary function, to return you to yourself. A person who does not sleep deeply does not decide clearly. A couple who does not rest well together does not harmonize easily. And a mind that is not refreshed struggles to manage finances, focus, or emotional regulation, all of which over time impacts prosperity, not through mysticism, but through biology and resonance. That's the deeper logic of Feng Shui. It doesn't ask you to believe in magic. It asks you to observe. If you've ever noticed that you sleep better in a hotel, that your thoughts settle in a guest room, or that you feel more calm in a minimalist space, it's not coincidence. It's the absence of excess qi. It's the stillness of design. And that stillness is what the bedroom must protect. Introducing a plant, especially a large one, into that stillness says energetically, pay attention to me. I am alive. I am growing. I need care. But the bedroom is where your needs should dissolve, not expand. Where your breath deepens, your thoughts recede, and your nervous system rebalances. So what's the recommendation? If your bedroom currently holds plants, observe their effect. Don't judge, just notice. Has your sleep been shallow? Do you wake feeling restored or anxious? Do you find yourself holding unspoken irritation toward your partner? Do dreams feel more vivid, chaotic, or interrupted? These are not just emotional states, they are energy reflections. If the answers point toward imbalance, remove the plants for 9 days. Replace them with symbolic stillness, a bowl of smooth stones, a neutral-colored fabric, a small clay sculpture. Let the room become what it's meant to be, a cave of healing, not a garden of performance. And if you still feel drawn to greenery, bring it outside the bedroom. Place it just beyond the door, in a hallway near a window. Let its chi greet you in the morning, but not accompany you into surrender. That boundary matters. It respects both your energy and the plants. It allows both to serve their purpose without compromise. In sum, the myth that plants are universally good for every room ignores the nuance of energy design. In Feng Shui, nothing is universally good. Everything is contextually powerful or disruptive. A plant in the living room energizes conversation. A plant in the kitchen must be carefully moderated. A plant in the office can sharpen focus. But a plant in the bedroom, that's a decision that must be made with restraint, clarity, and function in mind. Because rest is not just absence of activity, it is the foundation of every energetic output you make the next day. And anything that interferes with that foundation, even subtly, is affecting more than just your sleep. It's affecting your entire trajectory. So choose stillness, choose surrender, choose design that supports what cannot be seen but will always be felt. That is real Feng Shui. That is real alignment. And it begins with knowing where growth belongs and where stillness must remain undisturbed. Number 5, center of the home, heart palace. At the heart of every structure, whether it's a traditional courtyard house in ancient China, a modern apartment in New York, or a countryside villa in Europe, there exists an energetic epicenter. In classical Feng Shui, this zone is referred to as the heart palace. It is not a room. It is not defined by doors or walls. It is the geometric and energetic middle of your space, the invisible nucleus where all directions meet. And in elemental theory, this center is governed by Earth. Earth is not flashy. It does not rise like wood, burn like fire, flow like water, or cut like metal. It holds, it stabilizes, it absorbs excess and distributes nourishment. It is the container, the foundation, the mother of all balance. That's why what you place or don't place at the center of your home is one of the most consequential Feng Shui decisions you'll ever make. When a plant is introduced into this heart palace, the effect may not appear harmful at first. After all, a plant is alive, it breathes, it connects us to nature. But when we go deeper into the energetic language of the 5 elements, we discover a subtle misalignment. Plants belong to the wood element, active, directional, reaching. They are not meant to sit still. Their very nature is to rise, to grow, to expand. Earth, by contrast, is centering, grounding, and integrative. It pulls energy inward. When wood is introduced into an earth zone, the result is a slow dispersal of energy outward. It's like placing a pebble in still water. The ripples break the stillness, not violently, but persistently. Over time, that ripple becomes an echo through the rest of the house, creating invisible patterns of diffusion, instability, and lack of coherence. Think of it this way: the heart palace of your home is not where you initiate action. It is where you return to stillness. It is the energetic equivalent of the body's diaphragm, quietly regulating breath, rhythm, and balance without needing to be noticed. When that zone is clean, open, and grounded, the entire home feels like it has an internal compass. You may not see it, but you feel it. Projects find their pace. Conversations stay centered. Resources flow with direction. But when that center is disrupted, cluttered, activated, or overly stimulated, something in the home starts to unwind. You forget what you started. You begin things but don't finish. Family discussions turn circular. Decisions stall halfway. Money arrives but disappears without trace. It's not because you're unfocused. It's because the house's center no longer knows where to send the chai. In ancient courtyard homes, the heart palace was often intentionally left empty. It might hold a single ceramic urn, a small circular rug, or a low stool carved from stone or wood. The design wasn't minimalist for aesthetic reasons. It was spatially strategic. By allowing the center to remain still, all the other sectors of the home, health, wealth, relationships, reputation, could receive chai in a balanced and harmonious way. If the center was disrupted, so was the integrity of the whole. Just like the core of the human body supports every limb, the heart palace supports every aspiration you have for your life. Now let's return to the issue of plants. When you place a living, growing, upward-seeking object in the middle of this zone, the message is confusion. You are asking the center to do something it was not designed for, to move, to grow, to rise. Over time, this creates energetic instability, not in the dramatic sense of chaos, but in the quieter sense of misalignment. You may feel like your goals are noble, your habits are improving, your environment is supportive, but still something slips. You plan, but can't execute. You earn, but can't retain. You speak, but aren't fully heard. That's what happens when Earth loses its center. Your house is no longer organized by intention. It is scattered by effort. This is not a judgment. It's an invitation to observe. Walk through your home and stand at the center, not necessarily where the chandelier hangs, but where the blueprint's middle rests. Ask yourself, what lives here? Is it clutter? A tall plant? A water feature? A shelf of books? Whatever it is, notice how it makes you feel. The center of your home should feel like exhaling after a long breath. If instead it feels active, anxious, or slightly unstable, that's your cue. Your heart palace is asking for stillness, not symbolism. So what's the correction? Remove the plant, not because it's bad, but because it's misplaced. Thank it. Relocate it to a wood-aligned sector. East for health, southeast for wealth. In its place, introduce earth, not just in name, but in substance. A ceramic bowl filled with natural rice, a low earthen sculpture, a square mat in earth tones. These are not decorations. They are energetic cues. They tell the house, return to balance. They tell your chi, stay present. They tell your mind, here is center. And if your space doesn't allow for a decorative object, then leave it empty. An open center is more powerful than a filled one. Stillness is not a void. It is a container of all potential. In Feng Shui, we call this holding chi. When your heart palace holds chi, your life holds direction. You don't need to push so hard. The house does part of the work for you. That is the elegance of aligned design. It becomes a quiet collaborator. It creates coherence without effort. Now consider this. If you've been feeling like life has been busy but unfulfilling, full of movement but low in meaning, that your family conversations spiral, or that your health progress resets every few months, it may be that your heart palace has been overactivated. Not with chaos, but with something as simple as a plant that wants to grow in a space that wants to hold. The misalignment is not personal, it's spatial, and the moment you correct it, the shifts are often immediate. Your schedule simplifies, your thoughts focus, your relationships stabilize. It's not magic, it's resonance. In high-functioning homes, the heart palace is sacred. It is honored with silence, space, and intentional simplicity. It is not the place for growth. It is the place that holds growth together. And when you understand that, you stop trying to decorate your way to balance. You begin to design with structure. You begin to collaborate with the very ground you walk on. That's when the home becomes more than a shelter. It becomes a field, a system, a subtle machine that reminds you every day of your center. So remove the distractions, replace the striving with stillness, and remember this: the earth doesn't shout, it doesn't bloom, it doesn't rebrise, it holds, it nourishes, it remembers. And when you let the center of your home do the same, your life will not just expand, it will integrate. That is the wisdom of real Feng Shui. That is the role of the heart palace. And it begins the moment you stop adding and start aligning. Everything you've placed in your home is already speaking on your behalf. Whether you meant it to or not, your space is telling a story, one of your priorities, your fears, your intentions, and your energy. And the plants within it are not silent observers. They translate what you want into what the space allows. A misplaced plant isn't just off balance, it's an instruction. It tells the home, scatter, rush, grow without anchoring. It tells the chi, flow without focus. No matter how well you water it, no matter how healthy it looks, if the placement contradicts the energy of the room, it begins to undo the very stability you're trying to create. But the inverse is also true. A well-placed plant isn't just decoration, it's declaration. It says, I know what this room is for. I know what I want to invite. I've made space for it, and I've chosen tools that help hold it. That is what Feng Shui teaches us again and again. Your environment is not here to impress, it's here to support, and support requires structure. Qi doesn't respond to beauty, it responds to clarity. And when you become clear in your placement, your results follow suit. So I invite you to pause, look around your home and ask yourself, where does the energy feel stagnant? Where does it feel sharp, tired, or blurred? That's the place that's asking for collaboration. Choose one plant, just one, and relocate it with intention. Not because the internet told you to, not because it looks better, but because the space asked. Then leave it there. Let it do its work. Let it reshape the dialogue of the room for 9 days. You may notice subtle shifts, deeper sleep, clearer thoughts, less friction, more momentum. These changes don't announce themselves. They arrive quietly, but they arrive. And when they do, I hope you'll come back and share what you felt. Share your experiment in the comments below. Tell us which space you adjusted, which plant you moved, and what changed. These shared stories are how we learn, how we grow, how we remember that energy isn't a mystery, it's a pattern. And once you start observing those patterns, you stop feeling stuck. You start feeling capable, connected, clear. If this video offered you even one new insight, one moment of reflection, or one gentle shift in how you see your space, I invite you to like, share, or subscribe. We're building something thoughtful here at New Day Mindfulness. Not tips, not trends, but real practical Feng Shui guidance. Help us reach 2,000 followers so we can keep creating this content for those who are ready to move from aesthetic to alignment, from confusion to flow, from effort to ease. And above all, remember this: your home is already listening. Now it's time to decide what message you want it to repeat. Thank you for sharing this moment of clarity with me. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, tend to your space and it will tend to you.